Number 8 wants us to find the area of triangle ABC. There's two ways to do this. You need to know both ways. We know the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so there's two ways we can get the height. First, we could do this method. If we go straight up from here, and I focus on this right triangle, or we could go down from here and find this using this triangle. And we're going to think of SOHCAHTOA because we're using right triangles. So we need to find our height. Let's do this triangle first. And so for theta, this would be a 40-degree angle because this is 90. We got 50 and 40. These are complementary angles. So this would be a 40-degree angle. And remember back from SOHCAHTOA, we have opposite side, adjacent side, and hypotenuse. Okay, so we're doing adjacent and hypotenuse, so it'll be cosine. So cosine 40 equals my height over hypotenuse. So getting the height by itself, multiplying both sides by 12, we'll get 12 times cosine 40 is my height. Okay, that's one option for the height. Let's do this one. Okay, so using this one for height, area equals my base of 5 times my height of 12 times cosine 40, and dividing by 2, that's going to give me 60 cosine 40 divided by 2. That's going to give me 30 cosine 40 for one of my answers for area. And then if you plug this one in, area equals my base of 5 times my height of 12 times sine 50 divided by 2. That's going to give me 60 times sine 50 divided by 2. That's going to give me an area of 30 times sine 50. Okay, so both of these answers are right, but your answer choices only give you one of these, and I believe it's the 30 cosine 40 one. Okay, number 9, we're not given an angle, so we're going to do law of cosines. And when you're finding an angle and you don't have any angles, you need to find the largest angle first. And so the largest angle is going to be across from my largest side. So I'm going to find this angle, and we're doing law of cosine, so we're going to use a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cosine of angle A. Okay, before I start plugging in, let's rearrange this and get cosine A by itself. And so what I'm going to do, this is one term, this is a negative term. I need a positive cosine A term, so I'm going to take this term over, chunk it, take this and chunk it over here. Alright, so now I have a positive 2bc cosine A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Remember, we chunked this one, changed it to a negative. Now let's get cosine A by itself. We'll divide both sides by 2bc. Divide by 2bc. And cancel here. Okay, so cosine of angle A equals all this. So remember, anytime you're finding an angle measure, you have to do the inverse function. So we'll do inverse, or cosine inverse, or arc cosine. So cosine inverse of all this. Okay, so let's plug all this in. So b squared is across from angle B, 9 squared, plus c squared across from angle C, 6 squared, minus a squared, minus 14 squared, over 2 times b times c, 2 times 9 times 6. This is my answer. Okay, so you have one short answer on your study guide, and this question wants us to find the measure of angle B. So let's figure out which law am I going to use, and We don't have an angle with its opposite side, so we're going to do law of cosine. But first, let's find, since we have angle A, let's find side A. Once we find side A, then I can do law of sines to find angle B and do sine inverse to find it. So this is a long problem. It takes a few steps, but I'll take you through each step. All right, so let's find side A first. So A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times cosine of angle A. Let's plug in. So A squared equals B squared, 24 squared, plus C squared, 29 squared, minus 2 times 24 times 29 times cosine of my angle A, 101. Okay, so I need the square root of all this to get side A. So A is going to be the square root of all that. So instead of just drawing it in there, I'll just do this right here. So we need to do this in our calculator, and that'll give us side A. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all this in the calculator, and then I'm going to take the square root of it. So we'll do 24 squared plus 29 squared. That gives me 1417 minus, all right, I'm going to do 2 times, or we can do, let's do a negative 2 times 24 times 29 times cosine 101. So let's do that. Negative 2 times 24 times 29 times cosine 101. Make sure your calculator's in degrees when you're doing this, or it'll throw off the numbers. Equals. Alright, so that's a positive 265.61, I'll say. Alright, and so 1417 plus 265.61, that gives me 1682.61. Take the square root of that. That'll give me side A. Second, x squared, that gives me my square root, 1682.61. So for side A, I get 41. Alright, now that I have side A, let's do law of sines and find angle B. So the law of sines is sine 101 over 41 equals sine angle B over 24. Let's cross multiply and get sine B by itself, and then we'll do sine inverse. So we have 41 times sine B equals 24 times sine 101. Divide by 41 to both sides. Cancel the 41s. So once we get sine B by itself, we're going to do sine inverse. So sine inverse of all this, 24 times sine 101 divided by 41. Okay, so in my calculator, let's do that. So sine inverse of, let's do this, 24 times sine 101 equals that divided by 41. This gives me 0.5746. Now in my calculator, do sine inverse. So second sine, that gives you sine inverse, 0.5746 equals. To the nearest whole degree, the measure of angle B equals 35 degrees.